I loved Power Glove.
Come with me if you want to live.
I loved Power Glove.
No time for time travel.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the No Time for Time Travel podcast. This is the September 2023 edition. I'm saying that now because I think we record one episode per month or something. Yes, and joining me is Quoc.
Hello.
Hello. We are a podcast for nerds by nerds. I sound like I'm a low energy because I didn't have coffee yet. I am sipping matcha green tea right now. Matcha green tea latte with almond milk, made at home, no sugar, using stevia.
Wait, what's stevia?
Oh, stevia? Stevia is the natural sweetener that is not sugar. It's from the stevia plant, stevia leaf extract. Yeah, so it's not sugar, so it's good for you. And it's not artificial, so it's also good for you. I mean, it's not good for you. It's more of like, it's not terrible for you. You know?
Okay, I'm hearing things like it sounds like a lot of not real things.
It's not real. It is a sweetener.
Okay.
But it's made naturally from the stevia leaf.
Oh, okay.
Versus if you get like aspartame or erythritol, like they're a little bit different. Stevia is more natural.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah. Anyway, on today's episode we got a few things. The main topic we're going to be talking about is probably the big issue, I would say issue with the Unity and their whole like new rollout of the payments for developers. But yeah, before we get into that, and we also have a few topics that were suggested from some of the listeners and stuff. So we'll get to that too. But yeah, before getting to that, how you been doing?
Not too bad. Got a little bit sick, but it's just been minor symptoms, even though it's COVID. So I've just been isolated and not moving out too much. But
yeah, I mean, if you got like minor symptoms, it should be fine. I think like the biggest issue is for people who are immunocompromised and get the severe symptoms.
Yeah. So far, it's just feels like an annoying cold. I'm just waiting waiting a bit, waiting it out essentially.
Yeah, and it's COVID is the same thing. You just do the whole same like lots of fluid, lots of rest, all that stuff.
The annoying thing is it's like taking a test. It gets so expensive.
Yeah. If you want to, so for me, right? Like I usually get on Amazon. If you get it like in person, it's really expensive. Like if you go to the store and get it, or you can go to the test centers. I think it's still free in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Online, you can get 2 tests for like $16,
right.
Or I got 5 tests for like $26.
What?
So it's a 5-pack.
Okay.
Also on Amazon, it's pretty cheap if you get it online.
Okay, I'll ask for it later then.
Yeah, because it's kind of annoying. But then the bad thing is those tests have like very quick expirations, so you can't just stock up on it. You got to just get it when you need it.
Oh, that's lame. Okay.
Yeah, because I actually bought like 50 tests before, like during that height of like COVID, and it was hard to get tested, and pretty much all of that's expired now. So it was like, oh man, damn it, can't use them. You could use them, but they'll all be negative. So it's like, what's the point? So yeah, but how about anything else? You just been home then?
Not so much. I think I've just been mostly chilling at home, and I just started some new work. Just trying to look at some reference for that. How's you been doing, Tony? How's I know like we talked a bit about like you binging like One Piece and whatnot and household stuff.
I like it. So I don't remember when we last recorded. Probably before the One Piece Netflix came out, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay. So I watched the Netflix series first, and in the middle of that series, I jumped onto the anime, which like over 1,000 episodes. Yeah, I'm not gonna get through that. But as I went halfway through Netflix series, then I started the anime. It was really cool to see how close they made the characters look and how the casting was. Casting was pretty good. There were some changes. I feel like the changes did work for what they were trying to do because it was like a live action. I think the casting was really good because of the guy who created the manga or anime.
Mm-hmm.
He was involved. He actually did the casting, so that was cool. I really like the guy that plays Luffy in the live action. it's so exact to like how he is in the anime. Kobio's fine. He's very different. Like his his look is really exactly the same, but his personality is like the same core values, but in a different external like representation. Does that make sense?
Yes, he has like the essence of it,
The what?
like the essence of the character.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because in the anime, he's a little bit more like high strung, high anxiety, panicking all the time. In the live action, he is anxious, and actually, he is anxious and high strung, but in a real human way. you know, like his character, if you put it on paper and from the anime, right, is like a high strung, high anxiety character. Now you
Well,
take that
I don't know about high anxiety. He's like chill.
in the anime, he seems like he's always like going like off and crazy and just like super.
He's energetic.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
say
that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he's anxious but pushing it out in an energetic way,
Mm.
right? And in the live action, it's the opposite, where it's more of like he's very closed off,
Mm.
but like with the same core values, but and the same look. And that pirate in the first episode was pretty close to the pirate in the first episode of the anime too. I forgot her name.
Alveda something.
Yeah, Alvida. Yeah, Alvida. So yeah, then I finished the Netflix series. I really enjoyed the Netflix series. I know that there were some parts of it that were weird.
Mhm.
I think we talked about this too. It was like there was one part in episode 3 or 4 where they were in like the street market and they just used a very like wide fisheye lens,
Yep.
and I had no idea why. I'm like, why are you guys doing this?
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember like when we were talking about it when you said you started watching One Piece and whatnot, and then I was watching it, but I never saw the first episode. I only started from like the second episode.
Mm-hmm.
So like I saw, and you were mentioning like, oh, it had like very anime camera angles,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw the fisheye lens in like episode 3 or 4 or whatever. I was like, I know that's used in some anime, but I didn't think it was good. I didn't. That's why, like, but after I saw episode 1, like, oh, okay, this is what you were talking about. Like 1 and 2 were better. Episode 1 and 2 were better represented than like 3 and 4, where they got weird.
Yeah, and what else? I really liked Buggy, like in the live action. I thought Buggy in the live action was actually better than how he was in the anime.
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I loved it.
Yeah, like, and they devoted the entire episode, second
Mhm.
episode, to Buggy. Like that was really cool.
Mhm.
In the anime, they kind of split him off to a few episodes, but then it was like just a few things here and there,
Mhm.
and it didn't feel like he was very well established. Yeah, but the live action one, I thought it was like he's almost like that episode about Buggy it felt more like he was like a mix between Joker and Sweet Tooth.
Mhm.
So I was like, man, that is really cool. But I told you too that I didn't like how that character became later.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, fun fact for people who don't know: if you guys watch Agents of Shield, the guy who plays Buggy played oh man, what was his name? Deke? Was it Deke? I don't remember. Zeke maybe? Zeke.
See,
It was Zeke from Agents of Shield. So it's cool because I didn't know this at first, and then was like, why does his face look familiar? And I was looking into it more. I'm like, oh my gosh! I looked at the casting. It's the same guy. I'm like, okay, cool. Because like he's like one of the actors that I really liked on Agents of Shield. So yeah, but yeah.
I mean, I'm just glad that you. I was just actually more surprised that you got into watching the anime because that you just gonna stop at the live action and just keep it there, but you kept going. Like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm one of the people who actually enjoyed Cowboy Bebop's live action, but that didn't make me want to go to the anime.
Mm.
So this one, was this the first time? Let me think.
I feel like it is because we never talk anime, Tony.
Yeah, we do. We
well,
do.
I mean, we talk anime, but like you don't watch it. It's just like me talking about it.
No, I mean like there are some that I watch, like Cells at Work, and I watch a lot of the old ones. I used to watch
like
Get
Dragon
Backers, Great Teacher, Onizuka.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like my opinion is still Great Teacher Onizuka is the best anime adapted to live action I've ever seen. Because the live action plays more like a drama than it does like an anime adaptation. So let's see. You told me I should watch Kenshin. I haven't had a chance to. Since we're talking about anime adaptations, there's one that I was reading about recently that was a fairly recent anime, and then it was adapted into live action Japan though. But it was Inuyashiki. You know about that one?
Inushiki. That sounds
It's so funny because
no.
when I first saw the name, I was like, Inuyasha? I'm like, no, it's
Inuyasha.
Inuyashiki. And yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not Inuyasha. So Inuyashiki is about like some kind of like meteor or accident that happens that gives two people powers. One is an old man and one is like a young person, right? But then the old man decides to use his newfound powers. The powers are like they turn them cybernetic. So the old man decides to use his powers for good and become like a hero and save things, while the young person becomes like a villain and like murderer. So the idea of that kind of like premise is really cool to me.
Yeah.
So it actually reminds me of that movie Chronicle. I think the same kind of thing happened. Four kids or something, several kids, teenagers got powers, but then one of them like used it for evil.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know that one. But I now that you mentioned like the premise, I was like, oh, I think I saw like one episode of it, like
Mhm.
the anime, and I don't know, I didn't enjoy it or I didn't gravitate towards it for some reason. It might just be like the art style at the time, so I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean the art style for that anime looks like very realistic. Like
yeah.
it's kind of like dark and more shaded.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not into that style either. But I was possibly gonna watch the live action.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think anime that is in that art style of like realistic plays
Hmm.
better when it is adapted to live action. Actually,
Well, I mean, like I think that was like Death Note, and that was adapted, and I heard like mixed reviews. Like at least one of the remake or one of the adaptation was pretty bad for
You mean
Death
the
Note.
Netflix one?
I don't know. There's like two or three of them, and I don't even know.
There's a two in Japan that was adapted, and then there's one in the U.S. which is Netflix.
Oh,
So yeah, it's so funny because oh yeah, for people who don't know, I also have a different podcast now. It's called the Video Game and Nerd Trivia Podcast, where I do questions on trivia, and it could be about video games, and it could be about any nerd topic. One of the episodes I did was about live action anime adaptations. So that's why I know this because I did some research on it before I did the episode. But yeah, the Netflix adaptation had it was weird because there were two Japanese adaptations and Netflix still decided to like make a live action. And the Japanese ones were supposedly a lot better, and the live action one for the US one
Mhm.
was really bad. Like that was really badly reviewed. So which it's disappointing to me because the guy who plays what's the guy's name? The demon guy, the Risugi or whatever. I don't know his name.
I
You know
don't
what I'm talking
remember.
about in Death Note?
The main guy.
The demon guy. The kind of like the
Uh,
personification of the book.
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. He's voiced by Willem Dafoe, and that's a pretty good cast. Like that's really good casting. Willem Dafoe is Green Goblin from like Toei's like Spider-Man series.
Mhm.
Like that guy is that his face is evil, his voice is evil. Like come on, that's really good casting.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know what we were talking about. Why we veered into this? I forgot.
We're talking about like anime adaptation and then
Oh,
just
okay.
like the good and bad stuff about it, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could skip, go to like the topic or like
Oh, sure.
the
Um,
or the other questions too, or
Yeah,
topics.
let's go with the topic first.
Yeah.
The main topic is about Unity. So Unity's new thing is that after January 1st, 2024, anyone that installs any new installs of games, you're gonna have to, like the people who the developers have to pay like a portion, right, to Unity, something like that.
Yeah. It's like after X install. So if there's like different versions of Unity, like if they got like the free version, so like if after like 200,000 installs and they made $200,000 off it, they have to pay a certain percentage or fee to them. And there's like the pro version where it's like for more, you could say the AAA advanced thing, where like the cap is higher. So it's like I think it's like $1 million and a million installs. Then they have to pay a price. Whereas before, I think it was all those after X amount of install and profit. Anything after that, then they'll pay a percentage of the profit. And so anything before that is kind of like free-ish. Like yeah, it's still you still don't have to pay the percentage before then.
So the installs, like they start. So I think like the thing that kind of bothered me when I was like reading about this
Mhm.
is that yeah, it's gonna go into effect January 1st, 2024. Fine, but it's everybody that had used Unity before, right? Any games that were created before the January 1st are still gonna be affected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's weird because then now they're charging like after you cross that threshold, they have to pay uh, a certain fee or sorry, like yeah, a certain amount for every time somebody install the game or every new install, and it's like oh, it's like leaving a house. You buy a house or something, but every time you leave your house, you have to pay like a penny or like a dime or something like, or a dollar for leaving the house. I'm like oh that's stupid. What's the point of it's like additional fees on top of that?
Yeah, and the thing too is like, what about like people who install it and they have to like this is what I do on Steam Deck, right? Because something
Hmm.
that can take up a lot of space, I'll install it and then I will uninstall it to then download a different game to install, right? And then I want to play the other game again, I'll just like uninstall and then download again that first game. So does that count as two installs for the developers, right?
Hmm. So
So
I think I saw this somewhere, and initially that like somebody asked the same thing, and initially it was like if somebody had a demo or whatever, like a playable demo to try out the game, and then if you uninstall the game and reinstall, that counts as a new one. But recently they've changed it so that it's just like a new install. So like reinstalling doesn't affect it, and then uh, demos doesn't affect it either. So if you uninstall and reinstall, it shouldn't be that way.
yeah, and then also like what makes me curious is how do they even track this? Is it
Yes.
yeah? Is it only based on the digital stores, like if it's purchased and installed, or is it like is there something else that Unity has that it's tracking, and then basically it's like okay, well, how do you know if it's installed if like this person installs on a device that has no internet connection, right?
Right.
So like how does that work? Or this game is an offline game, but you're still tracking this. So are you sending out, privacy information
Mhm.
or like other stuff through the internet that you didn't disclose, stuff like that.
Yeah, because that's definitely like the red flag. Because like you mentioned, it's kind of like having a spyware thing that only Unity has access to. Not even like the developers, right? Because they're just making the game using Unity, and then
Hmm.
it's just like a invisible thing that they have no control of. So it's like, oh, you have this little chip or information inside your PC or inside like the software, your operating system that just sends out signal. And it's like, oh,
Hmm.
it's like a tracking device that's invisible to everybody except Unity, and that makes it like a big red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading from the IGN article about it that Unity also said that this is funny. People were actually asking the same stuff too, and then they were like saying like, "Oh, this will only count for net new installs.
Mm,
It doesn't count fees on reinstallations or fraudulent installs. I'm
mm,
guessing piracy,
yep.
and botnets and trial versions and streaming and charity related installs. So that's interesting. When they say web and streaming games, so does that mean if the like it doesn't count if it's installed on like a shadow PC? Like those things you pay service for to, or like let's say Xbox Cloud Gaming. Like if you play it from the cloud streaming, like is there a fee of being installed on the Xbox side?
Yeah, it's such a weird thing because I think yeah, it's like a somewhere like it would go back to the distributor, which is a fee on the like you said on Xbox on Microsoft, I guess in this case.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think that's what it was said. And then like recently, I think only yesterday or something, they mentioned that they hear they send like out an apology thing,
Hmm.
and just like, oh yeah, we heard the community, we're gonna take we're gonna review the policy a bit more, so we'll see. But at the same time, it's just like we saw like what they wanted to do, and they're just scared. We see it as a, oh, they're scared of the repercussion, but now we know like their intention already.
Yeah, I don't know who on the Unity side thought this was a good idea. Like, dude, like if you were gonna do this, at least don't like at least grandfather in people who are already developing the games. You know, like
I mean, it's like I think he was the CEO of EA, so
oh
that's who it is. And there's
yeah,
like been many, I guess, like recordings of him talking about this thing recently, where it's just like it's a missed opportunity for all like the to make money, essentially. Where he's like he was saying something about like how um, he make an analogy where it's like kind of like they're so invested into it already that they have to kind of go all the way, kind of like they would just pay that extra, they would just have to bite the bullet and pay the extra fee just because they're so well into it, and it might cost more time and effort to and money to just switch out of it. So I'm like, man, it sounds pretty dirty.
yeah. I mean, jokes on him because you know the Rust 2 developer Face Punch. They said they won't be making any of their games in Unity now.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
Massive Monster threatened to delete their game too. The was it Cult of the Lamb,
Mhm.
and and there was another studio too, or was it the same studio? I saw their tweet that it was like they were saying that if this happens, we're gonna have to restart our whole game on a different engine,
Yeah.
and we won't continue using Unity. I forgot if that was the same as Massive Monster or maybe another company. I forgot,
It
but
might be another one, but yeah,
yeah,
it's weird because like from a developer's point of view, like yeah, you can say we're gonna make it a completely new one, right? We can completely do it on a completely new engine, like Unreal or something. Um, but at the same time, it depends on each developer and how far they are into their process. If they're like halfway through, then they have to bite the bullet and like commit through it, right? Because otherwise, it's gonna be like spend more time. Like if they spend like 2 years already all in engine, they would have to spend another 2 or 3 years relearning it into another engine and doing the same thing over again. And then if they're
yeah,
like close to the process of just shipping it, then it's like, oh well, we can't not do it. So
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
sometimes I think like they are just like bluffing, but at the same time, enough people are doing this or saying these things that Unity has to make a response. Like there was also in San Fran and Austin,
mm-hmm.
they had to close their offices at Unity in what was like they said there was a credible death threat.
Oh
So
wow,
I was like, yeah, guys, because you guys are stupid. Like,
yeah,
you know, you just lost a lot of goodwill of your customers,
yeah,
and this probably is going to have a big blowback of like, you know, the EA former EA guys like, oh, missed opportunity to make money. Yeah, well now you're not gonna make any money. You're gonna lose
yeah,
it more than you said. You
yeah,
know, so
yeah. So it's yeah. I mean, like with EA, like him. I'm trying to remember if he's the same guy that was talking about it years before, where it's just like saying like interns were like a form of free labor, like openly in interviews and stuff like that.
oh my god,
I'm trying to remember if that was like the same guy because I remember there was someone that said it like that. I think it was EA, but I don't remember. It was like 10 years ago, something like that. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's a it's we can see it like more of a more targeted towards like those free to play games, like those or like those cheap games essentially. Because now, or like those, especially the free to play games where there's a lot of monetization. Now there's even where it's like free and it hurts them a lot more. And now like they get tons of install because like the price is so cheap and everything, right? And then like
yeah, yeah,
you get like indie games. Like one of like the reason I love indie games because they're so cheap and everything. And they're like they can be like they make you want to try and they're not like a big like triple A $60-$70 game where it's like a big hit to your wallet. And
yeah.
but now like it makes those indie games prices kind of potentially shoot up because they're like, well, if we price it at like $5 a game, then it's gonna be pretty bad because like now there's gonna be more people installing it. There's gonna be more people downloading it and buying it, but we're not making much money off it. It's only like
Yeah.
$5 or something like that. Versus like
Yeah.
if they start jacking up the price to like $70 a game, it's like, oh, then it's gonna suck. It's a lose situation in a way.
Yeah, because I mean, Unity was like, yeah, this will not affect 90% of the customers if we make this change. Well, no, like it technically won't affect them immediately, but over time, yes, it will because it pushes the entire market to have more expensive games because there are more fees for developers, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but yeah, that thing you said about the tweet, it was as of this recording, we're recording on 11:30 a.m. Monday, and the tweet was 18 hours ago on Sunday. That they said, we have heard you. We apologize for any confusion and angst. The runtime policy we announced on Tuesday calls. We are listening, talking to team members, community, customers, and partners, and we'll be making changes to the policy. We will share an update in a few days. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback. And then the first, the most popular tweet comment was, never forget that Tony Tortellini is the former CEO of EA, and that's where his greediness stems from.
Yep.
Yeah, someone else wrote, we have heard you. We have not listened to you. Here's a bunch of marketing talk to make you think we're going to do something. But in actuality, we're just trying to figure out how to keep doing what we're doing and what we already decided to do. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback. What? Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, someone wrote, yeah, we know that they're just going to rewrite everything in a way that makes it the exact same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, with just that alone, they've already lost all the future potential for like new developers jumping onto their platform or onto the engine.
You know, have you seen, you know, the that meme of like the coffin dance and the coffin song?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you this tweet link because this is very cool. How do I link this? Let me see here. I'm gonna send you this on the chat. So someone animated 6 3D animated figures holding a white coffin that has the word Unity on it. So it's basically their coffin dance. They're doing the same dance too. So I'm like, oh yes.
So
that's
it's also funny because like the mannequins that you see, they're known they're like Unreal mannequins. So so it's just like that. It's like you're saying like Unreal is carrying Unity's grave or coffin.
Oh man, that's so good. I mean, how long did it take someone to do this? It's so funny. Yeah, man. That tweet that they said, there is a lot of backlash on that tweet, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's definitely like a lot of controversy happening right now. So it's just a matter of like wait and see what happens, and then can't really do much about it now. I just want to see what happens. It's just like grab your popcorn and get ready to read the next thread.
Yeah. I actually didn't even know about this because, you know, lately I haven't been following the news. I've only heard about it because on the Super Best Friend Video Game Sleepover podcast, there's a channel called Thanks I Hate It. and Thanks I Hate It channel, just like people complaining. And then this was a big topic there. So I was following up and I looked everything up. I'm like, oh my God, this is like insane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And this is kind of like, I think I told you about it yesterday, Tori. It's similar to like Wizard of the Coast thing with D&D as well. Like the OGL, open game license, I believe.
Oh yeah, I didn't get to see those videos that you sent. What was the issue with Wizards of the Coast again?
So essentially, the summarized version of it is that they changed the policy to saying that if you were to use anything similar related to D&D, that's like a watered down version, for example. So like let's say remember like that one time that we did a D&D session, Tony and we broadcasted like on this channel. So two things happen. One, they own it, like Wizard of the Coast own it. They can charge for it. We have to pay a service, like pay something, some sort of fee for it. People who have done like actual D&D stuff, like variation sort of thing, from games to just podcasts to things, will kind of lose all rights, and they will let me see. And if the Wizard of the Coast doesn't like, and you also lose, you also sign over legal rights to it, so you can't sue them or anything. You also, trying to remember what else there was. There's a lot of bad things. Essentially, you lose all rights. They own it. They can do whatever. They can do what they could cancel you if don't like you or find some of your stuff controversial, um, and you can't do anything legally about it. And they give everybody who's about to all like the content creators for D&D, essentially they had like about a week to to agree to it, or else they can't post anything about it anymore, because D&D is a thing, is a Wizard of the Coast thing. So a lot of content creators or the community of D&D were super mad at it, because there was there was like a clause or something saying like they were not gonna. Yeah, there was a clause saying, to remember, if the OGL, the open game license, which is this, is to change in the future, then the content creator or the owner have the opportunity to choose a previous version of the license that they are happy with and keep that, as a way of saying that Wizard of the Coast will not be changing any of this in the future. Essentially, it's kind of like solidifying, like, oh, we're not gonna change, but if we did change, you may go back to like the previous version. And I think somewhere along the line, I heard somebody was saying like they tried to actually delete any previous history of that, but there's online archiving. So there was a huge backlash with the Dungeons and Dragon community, and I think luckily they came out on top, where the community banded together and essentially they just boycotted Wizard of the Coast stuff and did and bought all the alternative stuff and did everything else in a different direction. And Wizard of the Coast kind of just saw like the loss of revenue and how much from just the action alone. So they kind of, I guess you could say, like they semi-compromise and say like, hey, we're not gonna change anything from this version on, but from this version and upwards, content creators can choose to adapt it and use that option. And Wizard of the Coast will have some of the, essentially, content creators will have options to use which is like option A, which is the previous version of what's not affected of what everybody knows of Dungeons and Dragons, or options B of the open game license, where essentially what we kind of talked about the Wizard of the Coast owning portions of that, and we had to pay royalty fees and whatnot, that sort of thing. So that it's the whole similarity of the community, which has built up everything, having the rug swept beneath their feet with the changing contract.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunately that is common. Doesn't make it right.
No.
But it's common. You kind of see that with Nintendo too, or like not the same way, but in a similar way, where there's community involvement, and then they kind of just shut things down. Like they shut down the competitions where they used Super Smash Brothers. Oh, I forgot what Project M, and because they're like, you guys can't do this. It's a Nintendo game that you guys modified, so you can't hold these tournaments. So instead of embracing the community and then supporting them, so yeah, again, not the exact same thing. Not like they're charging the money, but it's still like it sucks, because this goes back to kind of like our last episode, right, about like community content, and then like the and how Sega embraced it and supports the community, and then they're able to thrive. So like, dude, just be good to the community that is making you guys money. Like, don't try to be so greedy to pull more money out of them, because then you're just gonna lose the community overall, you know. So
Yeah, it's always like a like from how I see it is like executive see the short term goal or a short term monetary goal, but they don't see like the long term monetary goal.
they see just the monetary side. They don't see the environment and how the non-money stuff affects the way that the money flows.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still reading the comments.
it.
It's like revert the changes and fire your CEO. Like, it's time for a new paradigm shift. It's like,
Yeah, I think there was other stuff as well where I heard like the CEO because Unity was already going downhill before he came and whatnot. And then like the CEO came on and whatnot, and I think before the announcement of this, like I think there was news or something of the CEO selling his shares of Unity as well. So like he knows it's gonna go down. He just want to make as much money out of it when that happens.
isn't that considered insider trading?
I think so, maybe.
So this guy, wait, okay, I thought you can't, huh? I thought you can't do that. Like selling shares knowing that your company is going to go down. Like, isn't that illegal?
Well, I don't, but who's to say knowing that your company is gonna go down, right? It's like
Well, I mean, hey guys, I'm going to sell all my shares, and then the next day I'm going to announce something that everyone hates. Like, come on.
yeah, yeah. But like to be fair, like maybe in his mind, he just doesn't even care or see it as it because
Yeah.
all he knows is like money, right? He's like,
Uh-huh.
oh yeah, it's gonna make money, which is potentially up. So I don't know. It's just like at that point, it's just kind of like a trust thing, right? Where it's just like, oh, I trust you're telling the truth, but depending on the
Mhm.
person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his uh this guy is twisted, and I just think it's funny because his last name is Tortellini, which is a type of pasta that is like kind of twisted, basically. So yeah. All right. Well, that's our thoughts on this. I mean, this is current state of us recording on Monday, September 8th at around 11 a.m. Pacific time. So the stuff that's gonna happen after this episode releases, like, it could change by then.
Mhm.
We're not really sure. But that's the current state as of this recording. But yeah, you have any other things to say about it, or you want to move on to something else?
No, let's move on to something else. Otherwise, it's gonna leave a bad taste in my mouth.
You're gonna what?
It's gonna leave a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh yeah, okay. So just real quickly, I'm gonna talk about Mortal Kombat 1, which as of this recording is still not officially out yet, but I got early access since Thursday, the 14th, which I told you is funny because I was at Disneyland, didn't plan my time correctly there. I took the work day off to go to Disneyland, and people thought I took it off to play Mortal Kombat, which is something I might have done, but that was not the reason. So instead, I did start the early access a little bit late. I put in about, what is it, 30 hours? I
30
put in about
hours.
30 hours. Yeah. Most of my time was actually just in practice mode, playing the game and learning the characters. I could tell you things I like. Things I like. The roster is pretty good. The combos are pretty good. The story mode is really fun. It's really interesting. I played it yesterday about like an hour or two, and the cinematics are pretty cool. They do lead into the gameplay with like no load times. I'm playing this on the Steam Deck, by the way. And I mean, like, generally speaking, it's a fun game. Whether it's a balanced game, I don't think it's balanced, but it's a fun game. But again, I can't criticize too much because it's early access. And the official release date is tomorrow, September 19th, which they already announced is going to have a day one patch, which is going to do some balancing and some additional things in there. So now I can talk about the bad things. So the bad things is there's this new mode called Invasions, and it's supposed to be single player. And the way that it runs is that it's on the overworld map, kind of like Yoshi's Island or Super Mario World. You know those games that have overworld, like the overworld type of map.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you basically have your character and you move through the overworld, you go through the story, and then you, on some of those things, you have to go in and fight someone. Like each of those overworld stops, right?
Hmm.
Instead of you going through a level, you're fighting someone. And you unlock things, you get keys, you get keys to unlock doors, all that stuff. And it's supposed to be every season, there's a different story. So the first season now is a weird one where Scorpion from another universe is trying to find a universe where his wife and kid are not dead, but he went through so many universes that they are always dead. And he finally comes to our universe in which they are not dead, but instead, this one is married to a different Scorpion. So now he's angry and he just wants to kill everyone. So the story is that you're supposed to try to stop that from happening. So every season it's gonna have some kind of story like that. So cool idea, badly implemented. It is the most boring mode I've ever played in a Mortal Kombat game. Like it's just not fun. You move the character on the overworld map. You just read dialogue or it's like narrated to you, and you unlock keys, unlock doors, stuff like that. Oh yeah, and there's also consumables and spell with a K, of course. And basically, some fights have modifiers added to it, like a flying prehistoric bird shoots fire at you every 10 seconds, right? And then the enemy has armor, and you have to use consumables to replenish your health, like a potion, or increase your damage, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I get what they're trying to do, but it just doesn't feel fun or work for a fighting game, Like it's like Vampire Survivor, but with a fighting game. Am I making sense?
Wait, Vampire Survivor in what way?
In a way that there's a ton of consumables that will help you like progress.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that way. And then but
It's like
it works in that
power-ups.
game because it's meant for that. It's a roguelike. It's supposed to be like that, right?
Right.
You're taking a fighting game and you're throwing it into an overworld thing, and then you're throwing in consumables and you're putting random modifiers in that just makes it frustrating. Like some characters you cannot attack them unless you have a very small window where they turn blue, right? Like it's like boss battles in Super Mario World, right? But this is a fighting game, which is frustrating because in a fighting game you're meant to fight. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And now it's like you're doing this whole Mega Man weird thing where you're trying to find their weakness or window of time, or
Right.
using potions and whatever, and it's like frustrating and annoying and just boring.
Yeah. It's more like you have to figure out their attack patterns, and
Yeah.
then on top of that, make it a fighting game. It
Yeah.
just feels like you're not fighting, you're just waiting it out and then doing something, and you make it more monotonous, I guess. Because now, once you the moment you figure out the pattern, you just do the same thing over and over. Is how I see it.
Yeah, so I understand why they did this, because this is for casual people who don't play many fighting games, right? So from my perspective, where I am a fighting game fan, this mode is not for me, because all it does is like all the skill and all the things I expect to learn from a fighting game are thrown out the window, because now it's just like trying to get through the levels by finding the cheap workaround. Yeah, so yeah, I am a completionist, but that's one mode I won't be playing. So I'll like, for the story, I do enjoy the story. So what I'm gonna do, which I already did, was just go through YouTube and just watch the cinematics or whatever like the story is for that mode for whatever season it is. Because it's like I'm not gonna put myself through the stress of like going through that, not enjoying it, and then I would have done this if I was a kid, but not now. Like as a kid, I played through Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, which is the most terrible game ever, but I went through it because it was Mortal Kombat. So I'm not doing that anymore with this game. Because as an adult, no time, right? So yeah, that's my big complaint about that mode. The other thing too, complaining about that mode, is that one of the things is that, okay, you can customize your character a lot. There's a lot of different parts of the costume that you can, like for example, Scorpion, you can unlock different masks for him, you can unlock different harpoons for him, or like other characters, different hairstyle, or Kung Lao, different hats, right? You can unlock it by getting coins by playing the game, like arcade mode or story mode. You get coins and you use it as a randomized thing to unlock in the shrine. Or you can also play through this invasion mode, and it will also let you win some of these items as you play. So it's like frustrating to me, because I'm like, okay, well, one of the only reasons why I would play Invasion is to unlock these items, but I don't want to play Invasion, but I want these items, you know? So, and then the other way is like throwing the coins in a randomized fashion to the shrine, and it'll randomly give you one of these things, rather than the thing that you want, which I also don't like. And then the third thing is go in the store and buy it. And it's like, no, I'm not buying it. Like, so it's like the ways that you unlock things is so stupid. It's like, it's basically a grindy, like really grindy game, you know? Like, just you gotta grind through the game to unlock things, or you go pay for it. Yeah. So that really frustrates me. At the same time, I don't care too much about the costume customizations. They're nice, but I don't really need them. So it's still okay. But for someone who is they want those kind of costume things and they don't want to grind through it, it's pretty frustrating. So yeah. MK11, when it was first released, had this very same issue. Everyone complained, and then they were like, "We're so sorry. Here, we give you free 100,000 currency. Use it however you want." So at least when that was released, they did that, and everyone was happy with that because that allowed you a lot of flexibility to get the things you wanted without having to grind so much. They didn't change the game mechanic because it was too hard to change at that point, but at least they gave the currency for free. But then they did the same thing with this game by releasing a game that you basically have to grind everything. I don't understand. I thought they would like learn from their mistake, but you know, I also don't blame the developers because I think this came from higher up. I think this came from WB, not like the actual studio, you know? So yeah, those things frustrate me. What other things frustrate me with this game? Oh, on the Steam Deck, it's very hard to achieve. It's impossible to achieve 60 frames per second. I lowered all the settings. I finally got it to a way where I could optimize it and still be playable. I can get it to 50 FPS, but I actually run it at 40 now because it just keeps everything more consistent. But playing a fighting game, anything less than 60 does take away from the strategy because it's very frame by frame, like timing that you do in a fighting game. If you're playing competitively, if you're playing casually, whatever, it's fine. So yeah, that was pretty difficult. And again, because this is an optimization thing, I think day one patch will help because not even day one, they had a patch yesterday for PC fixes. So they fixed a bunch of bugs already during early access. So that was nice. And yeah, some weird glitches are still happening. There's anytime you do a brutality move, it's a finishing move, and you uppercut their head off, like any kind of that kind of thing, the head just floats there on the screen. Like as you go through your pose of winning, it just floats there. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be or if that's a glitch. It doesn't look like it's supposed to float there because the body will fall down and the body can move left and right, but then the head just stays still. It doesn't animate to fall off. You know what I mean?
It sounds like a glitch for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you sent me the screenshot of that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just floating there. But the Switch version was worse because the head was floating there, and then the graphic glitch where the head got stretched sideways, so it looks like a big like hamburger patty. So it just looks weird. Yeah. Did I complain to you about any other thing about the game? I forgot.
I think the two big things were mostly just the performance issue and like the weird head glitch.
Yeah, and those it sucks because you know this game went gold because it had to, and day one they will fix it. But it goes back to the whole thing about like crunch time and deadlines, and it's like okay, so people don't really fully finish the game before going gold now. They just go get it to a state where it's playable enough that they can fix it during launch, which kind of sucks because it's like the way that you know DLC and patches are nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It allows that to happen where you don't really get the full product at launch.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the gaming standards is kind of weird.
Yeah, because you guys like, oh yeah, that thing, yeah, whatever, we could fix it later. You know, like we gotta make the game workable enough that people can play it, but we'll fix all the small things later. And it's frustrating because you're paying for the full price game, and you're getting. And for me, I paid the premium edition or whatever collector edition. I don't know, $110 for the whole the game with the. Okay, that's another complaint. The game with the first season pass and collector's edition was $110, and I don't get anything physical. It's just digital. $110 and to get early access. So
that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I paid $100 for Street Fighter 6, and it's like come on, like what's wrong with, that's a whole other gaming industry issue,
Mhm.
which again, it's not the developers' problem, it's the publishers that push this, so it's like, that's just how the industry is. So yeah, playing Mortal Kombat again reminds me of like why I pull back a lot on the current gaming generations, because of the gaming industry and how it's very servicey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there are games out there that are nice, like again Vampire Survivor, where you don't really have many DLC because a lot of the updates are free and included. So
Yeah, I mean, I think like with recent games, recent studios such as was it Larian that did like Baldur's Gate? Apparently, that's been doing really well.
hmm
So I'm hoping like, and then like studios that did like Elder Ring and stuff like that. They I hope they start setting like a trend where like what quality is. Like obviously, there's a lot of work that goes into developing those type of games, and it's potentially a lot of crunch time. And I don't advocate for those crunch time, but it's more of like that's the kind of standard that us as consumers or players want, right? As a
hmm
It's like we pay like full price for something. We expect a full product, not just like here.
yeah,
It's like buying a car. It's like, oh, here's a steering wheel. You get the rest of the car later.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and also like it was really dumb to have a day one, DLC already for Mortal Kombat, where like you get 9 characters, I think, or something like that, 5 to 9 characters, I can't remember,
yeah,
but it's a DLC, but it's like they already know, so
yeah.
like, wait, did you already make them and just lock them away
Yeah.
so that we can pay more for it? And it's
It
like,
yeah,
like I'm frustrated about that. I still pay for it because I'm a big fan of the franchise, but
yeah,
that's the frustration, is that I'm so devoted to the franchise. I would do it,
yeah.
but it shouldn't be this way.
Mhm. At the same time, there's definitely executives or that knows that there are people who are devoted and will take advantage of that. So
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, it's kind of like add-ons for like a car or something. I think I remember like when you told me about like your Tesla, Tony, the first time you bought it. You told me like how like a cup holder was like $200 to
oh yeah,
have. I was like, isn't that like standard for a car? Just buy you have a cup holder? It's like no.
yeah. No, I mean, it was early on in the Tesla, because this Tesla that I got now, the new one, the Model Y,
Mhm.
has a lot of those early features built in now. So, and then the doors are better too. There's more compartments. So everything that I paid extra for in my first one is
Mhm.
all included now in the newer one.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm great, but I mean, there are still car companies that still do that, where it's just like, hey, you want
Yeah.
this add-on? $200.
You want the
It's
steering
like the
wheel?
yeah,
Yeah.
you want an engine? two thousand
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah. I mean, we were
Installation
talking
not included.
about.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say installation's not included. Just get the
Oh,
engine
yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We
yeah,
were just talking about studios in the current state and, releasing unfinished products. So that kind of delves into the next thing,
mm,
which is a suggestion from Taco Douglas from the Super Best Friend Video Game Sleepover podcast. His question to us is, was Immortals of Aveum sent out to die? And that was like the specific question he asked, leaving it
mm.
a little bit open ended. You know anything about that?
Well, I already know as much as you told me a little bit earlier, which is after how much it flopped, the studio kind of just laid off half its workforce, or more than that, right?
Nearly half. So they had like about 100 people. 40 were laid off.
Yeah. So I mean, it's it's weird because like it's not a big. It's considered indie studio, right? But it's part of EA.
I think the first problem is it's part of EA.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So it's like, huh? But yeah, it just kind of depends. Like it, I don't know. I hope I saw part of the gameplay and it looks interesting. Uh, but I don't know. Like you said, like it being part of EA, essentially it is left to die. If it was its own thing, like its own, like if it was like No Man's Sky, for example, like that one was like a huge flop when it first released. The community bashed on it, but then I think because they were their own thing and they continued through it, they're able to continue through with it and polish it up to the things that people enjoy today. That's really good. But if you're part of something of like EA or something, it might just be like, all right, well, it's dead. Move on. Or like if you, it just kind of depends on the developers. If that's like their passion project, then
Yeah.
they might continue through with it. But if it's owned by EA, they might just feel really defeated afterwards, and then they just lose all enthusiasm.
Yeah, I don't know any of like the backstory behind it, but it's
Mhm.
more of like, okay, so it's published by EA from an indie studio. I mean, EA probably had a hand in like setting deadlines, right? So one of the issues of this game was it had really, really, really high technical requirements, which to me tells me it's not optimized. And if it's not optimized, that also tells me they didn't have enough time because they were being pushed to meet a certain deadline. So, I think like again, like you said, if it was like it's a double edged sword because like if they're gonna do it as their own thing and take their time, they may not have the funds to do it. Whereas, EA, I don't know how much they fund, but if it's being published by EA, there may be some additional, funding, but then at the sacrifice of like deadlines. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how that works on that side. But yeah, it what was it. When was this article published on this was published a few days ago. So a few days ago, Polygon said that the game peaked at 74 players in 24 hours.
Jesus, it's not a lot.
Yeah, for a triple A game, a triple A EA published a game.
Mm-hmm.
So something tells me that EA pushed it out and really just try to get past it to try to like cut the studio or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
yeah,
also kind of like curious because like a lot of times from what I saw from the videos of the gameplay, it's like it says it's from an indie game, but they're pushing for like triple A quality, and then
yeah,
I'm like that's like really ambitious.
yeah. So the article I was reading, right? The statement says a groundbreaking AAA single player magic shooter from an independent studio. That whole sentence is confusing as heck, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, first of all, AAA games, they're mostly not groundbreaking. They're more like they play to the trends and then sure, there's some innovation. They're
Mm-hmm.
innovative AAA. They're not ever like really super groundbreaking unless you're talking about like Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're saying AAA in the same sentence as independent studio.
Yep.
That's weird. So yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird to me.
Yes, that's why I was like, there's a lot of like things that are contradicting.
Yeah. It's like, oh, just go over to that, mom and pop Walmart. Like what?
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. Like I feel bad for the developers. I don't know like we don't really know, right? Like what the inner workings are, but knowing EA is involved, I automatically think it's EA's fault.
Yes.
So yeah, that is how bad EA is. So yeah. You know how EA used to have that tagline? EA Sports, it's in the game. It's like, no, it's in the money. That's where it's at now. Anyway, so yeah, there you go, Taco Douglas. And then he has another question. How good is that MK1 Switch port? Have you seen the MK1 Switch version?
No.
Okay. Did I send you the picture? I forgot if I did. I sent like a comparison picture, maybe. Did I? Yeah, I did. Earlier today.
Let me see.
It was like around 8:30. Basically.
Oh, is that the switchboard? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So basically on the Mortal Kombat 1 page, somebody wrote, if anyone can tell the difference between PS5 and Switch versions, they are lying. I sure as hell can't. Identical. And then he posted 2 pictures of the character Li Mei. One of them looks like, proper Li Mei. The other one looks like, I don't know.
No poly.
It's like worse than PS1 graphics, maybe? It's like a early Pixar movie.
That's pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah. Early Pixar movie where characters don't look like humans at all and they had to use toys instead. So, okay, so the game, I've been watching a lot of the clips. I've been trying to find clips of Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch to help me make a decision to buy it or not. and I gravitated towards not buying it because I have it for the Steam Deck already. The textures are terrible. Textures are like single color. Really, really, really bad. The frame rates kind of drop. They hover between 45 ish to 60. You can always rely on 30, but playing competitively you can't. Load times are very bad. You do load every cutscene, so it's not seamless between fighting and loading. Fighting and cutscenes, because there are long load times. Yeah, so the game looks bad. It plays okay. I think people are making a joke of it because it's such an easy joke target because it's a Switch versus PS5. Come on,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just funny that it's even on the Switch. Having said that, if I didn't have a Steam Deck, I would buy it for the Switch. Now, the reason is I don't care too much about the graphics. As long as I can recognize the characters, I'm fine. Like, if you give me stick figures and they're colored like Scorpion, I'm fine. Whatever. As long as the story is there, story mode is there, as long as it's playable, and if I'm not playing competitively, it's fine. This is the reason why, before I got a Steam Deck, I had the Nintendo Switch, I had a PS4. I bought the collector's edition of Mortal Kombat 11 for PS4. I played it to a certain point, but I really, really wanted to play it on the go. So I bought it for the Switch, and I ended up maining on the Switch, playing it all the time on the Switch and no longer touching the PS4 version. I only played the PS4 version in very, very small exceptions where I'd be playing online against a friend who only has a PS4. Otherwise, I was main play on the Switch, and even then, they ended up having crossplay in the future or at some point, right? So it was fine. I was on the Switch all the time, so I can understand the Switch version being a playable, okay alternative if that's your only option, or if you're more of a mobile gamer. Because now I have a Steam Deck, which is like a better Switch, so I play on the Steam Deck instead. I don't need to get the Switch version. Having said that, they should not have this charged the same exact price on the Switch as the PS5. That made no sense. It is a highly inferior version, playable, highly inferior, but they're still charging 70 or something like that for the main game, and then 100 something for like the premium. Like, that doesn't make sense.
That's pretty ridiculous. How much is like normal games on Switch? It's like 60?
It's like around there, like 50, 60 or something. Like,
Yeah.
Let me check right now on Nintendo Switch Mortal Kombat 1. Maybe it is 60, I don't know, but let me see. Nope, it's $69.99 for the base game.
Wow.
So it's 70. It's ridiculous. Like, why would you... I mean, I understand it's a AAA game, but this is a very inferior port. You should be paying less. You should be paying 50-ish or at most 60-ish, Like, on par with, I don't know, let's see, how much was Tears of the Kingdom? Let's see, Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, so Tears of the Kingdom is $69.99, which I'm fine with because it is a game made for the Switch and also optimized for the Switch, and it is really good looking and long game for the Switch. It makes sense, right? But Nintendo's version of Mortal Kombat 1 is highly inferior and looks terrible and plays okay, and you're charging the full price. That is the exact same price of what it is on the PS5, which is highly superior. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
like, and here's the other thing. I can understand Tears of the Kingdom being expensive, 70, because that's the only system you can play it on. You can't, so Nintendo doesn't like make money from it being on any other system, right? Mortal Kombat 1, WB Games, it's available on everything, on PC, on PS5, Xbox, on Nintendo Switch. Dude, why are you charging the same thing on the Switch as the PS5? It doesn't make sense. So
yeah, because I'm thinking like Breath of the Wild, right? It's like the price hasn't gone down too much from its original pricing. It has it. It's still probably like around $50 bucks, $60 ish.
You can get it on Amazon for like 45.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like if you buy on like the Nintendo website, it's probably like 50 or 60.
Yeah, it's 60 on Nintendo.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, that's like the if Nintendo's own AAA game is 60, why is a game not of that quality more expensive?
And also not Nintendo's game.
Not Nintendo's game, yeah. Not exclusive as well.
Yeah. So that's my frustration. Like I was so close to buying it because I was having issues with the Steam Deck, but I got the Steam Deck one to a playable quality for myself. So I'm not buying it, but I was so close, but it really stopped me because of the price. Because I didn't want to pay that much for such an inferior version. So it just logically didn't make any sense. So yeah, I don't know. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Capcom didn't even bother to release Street Fighter 6 on the Switch because it wouldn't make sense. Like, are you really gonna have people buy it, or if if you sell it on the Switch and people don't buy it, then you waste your time, But if they do buy it, then you make money. So I think this whole thing has greed part of it again, where Capcom was like, no, we're fine. We want people to experience the correct way with the full game on the right systems. Where WB is like, no, let's make a quick buck on Nintendo Switch and charge them the full price.
Yeah, it's not even a quick buck. It's just a really expensive buck.
Yeah. Or, wait a bit. See if you can optimize the game more for the Switch before you release it, Because sometimes that happens too, where the AAA game on other systems eventually gets a Switch release when they find a way to optimize it and make it work. Not release like a half-assed, PS1 era looking game with Pixar humanoid characters that are not even human looking. So I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of negativity in this episode of our podcast.
Yeah, sadly, that's like the state of the game industry.
Yeah. Is there any positive things about the gaming industry where we can end on a good note? Let's see. It's weird for me. Positive gaming news. I'm searching for that. I don't even know how that could search. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think on the positive side, Unreal is doing a lot of good positive things.
Mm-hmm.
So with more people, with Unreal, like it's venturing out into more of not only being a game engine, it's venturing out into more of like a filmmaking as well. It's just like another platform to use for like films, commercials, TV stuff. And so it's opening a lot more avenues because I'm hearing a lot more of its function being open, and it's making it more accessible to like the public. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last time, that Moon something game that was being created under the new community build. Remember that?
I don't remember.
Something community made game something.
Yeah.
Was it under Unreal?
I don't remember. Possibly.
It was like filmmakers or someone or animators making. I forgot. But yeah, the general idea is like at least Unreal is being more community driven than
Unity.
I already forgot. What was it?
Unity.
Yeah, Unity. Jeez, they both start with UN.
Yep.
So, it's ironic, right? Because Unreal.
For a company that's named Unity, it doesn't really invoke a lot of unity.
Yeah. And for a company that says it's Unreal, it's very real to the community.
It's very feasible, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, yeah. Good job, Unreal. Yeah. Let's go into game time. I don't know what kind of game time we could do.
Maybe something quick because I gotta go soon too.
Oh, okay. How about I have 4 games for you.
Sure.
That are popular. I'm gonna quickly try to like giving you a description. The thing that ties them all together is they all have microtransactions.
Okay.
Okay. This game is a game that's kind of like fantasy, but it's also like where you have to think of. It's kind of like Tetris ish, but it's also fantasy. Actually, no. It's like
Puzzles and Dragon.
Yes. How did you know that?
It's the only thing I could think of as like a fantasy thing.
Yeah, fantasy puzzle. I couldn't say puzzle.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like the original mobile game of like puzzly, like connections.
Bejeweled.
Okay, I guess it's not the original.
Candy Crush.
Yes, Candy Crush.
Okay.
This next one is a MOBA that has so many microtransactions.
Oh, League of Legends.
Yes,
No.
League of Legends is the one I'm going for. Yes.
Okay.
And then this next one is a weird one. It's a It's a game that was originally 2D overhead view for the first 2 games, and the third one became like a third person behind the camera game. And as the first time, it was like an open world fully game. You could do whatever you want, and eventually, like maybe a few games later, it became online. And once it became online, it became microtransactions. The third game in the series was based in Liberty City.
Is it Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto.
I didn't know it became a microtransaction thing.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto Online has a bunch of microtransactions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was it. That was just the 4 games I had.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. All right. And you have anything to promote?
No.
I do. My other podcast. The Video Game and Nerd Trivia Podcast, where each episode I go through 3 rounds of 10 questions each about a specific video game or nerd topic. And I do mini-sodes that are only 10 questions. So the latest episode I released this week was about Street Fighter 2 trivia, 30 questions on that. So yeah, I haven't done one for Mortal Kombat yet on purpose because I want to hold off. Otherwise it seems biased. I do Mortal Kombat stuff all the time. So yeah, I have a mini episode on mini games for Mortal Kombat, but I didn't have a full 30 question episode yet. But yeah, all right, cool. No time for time travel. Signing off. Herdiger and War Speed. See ya.
Bye.
I loved Power Glove.
Come with me if you want to live.
I loved Power Glove.
No time for time travel.